Yeah, it's definitely.
Yo, that's wild. One of my friends just sent me a thing. And it's like, imagine living in a world where you're too good for free seafood, and somebody, it's like, I guess they're trying to like go out on a date with somebody, like, yo, beautiful, your day as well. I saw on Instagram that the cigar bar where we met is having a free seafood special. Would you like to go? And they're like, no, you don't take a woman that you're trying to court to a place that gives away free seafood. You take her to a minimum 4-star dining facility if you want my attention. I was just in there with my girls hanging out. It's a difference. Now make reservations at the Ocean Air, or else I'm good. And I'm like, wow.
What?
And I'm like, yo, free seafood, hook me up.
You better give me that free seafood. It reminds me of it was a Cab on Stage and Tony Baker. I don't think they were the ones that originated this meme that went around, but it was a list of places people didn't want to go on first dates. And he was just like going off, like, are you? He's like, based on this list, where are you supposed to go? He's like,
go to hell, apparently.
It's like ridiculous. Oh my goodness.
It's like that. There's like a meme where it's like, oh hey, it's like the guy's like talking to his girlfriend. He's like, oh hey, I got you some. I got you some chocolate. She's like, oh yo, I love chocolate. And he's like, he's like, oh yeah, all girls love chocolate. He's like, oh, you bought other girls chocolate? And she's like, and he's like, well, I mean, everybody knows that girls like chocolate. He's like, I don't want it. He's like, I don't want it. And he's like, why not? He's like, I don't want anything that you bought another girl. He's like, that's stupid. He's like, what? You don't want cheeseburgers, seafood, tacos, pizza, nothing? And like, she's just like getting like more and more quiet. He's like, yeah, that's what I thought. That's stupid. You don't want ice cream? Nah, that's what I thought. It's like, you don't want bubble tea? I bought up people bubble tea.
But that's crazy.
Oh, man.
What up, Taryn? I see you're out of class.
Yo.
What it do? Oh man. Gosh. How's everyone doing? I'm gonna check in the Discord real quick before we get started.
Hold up. Let me log in to Twitch.
Them boys. Days of streaming. Who's the cartographer?
Cartographer?
Well, they didn't put they didn't put a T in there. They put cardographer. Cartographer. I apologize if I'm butchering that. They're gonna be like, you know what? And this is the last time I watched your stream.
Unfavorite.
These uneducated son of a guns. All right. I really wish I couldn't think of a main topic for this week. Oh, we can do that in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all good. Yeah, we got a mix of some interesting AI information coming up. Some deep fakes and some regulations that have come through. We mentioned a California governor on here twice. It's wild.
California. 2 hops this time.
They really out here trying to do something.
Oh boy, he's trying.
Jerry, I ran into an issue with my username. Was it inappropriate? When did you, Jerry?
Uh-oh.
Actually, I bet I probably know what it is. And I won't say it on stream if it is what I think it is. So I got you, Jerry. All right. Yeah, we're talking AI. Got some news for the Microsoft insider crowd. I guess I could have put this on the quick hits. Something really cool that's happening with the PS5 Pro on eBay. So scalpers beware.
Oh yeah, I did see about that. Yeah.
So I should have put it as a link, but we can talk about it in quick hits. All right. This is like a cinephile thing, but I'm going to bring it into the quick hits. If you've watched The Wild Robot 1, go check it out. I haven't written my review yet, but it's it's very, very good. If you like the recent Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, it kind of keeps that same animation style, so really solid.
Nice.
And for a new animated, new property that, or again, I know it's based off a book, but for a new property, made 53 million, so like 35 here in the U.S. and like 18 international. So not not bad. It's not Inside Out. It's hard. It's hard to be Inside Out. But really solid. So it gets a strong endorsement from me, and I'm kind of we'll see how it does against the Joker, because so far Joker 2's I'm not hearing great things.
Has it already come out yet?
It comes out this weekend.
Okay, cool. I was like, okay, all right.
So we got to see how it stacks up. Well, for you get a movie at the end of the month. Wait, is it October or November? Did I get it wrong?
Which one?
Venom.
Oh yeah. I have no idea. I have ad blockers on everything, so like I hear when stuff comes out because somebody asked me to go. Yeah, I get no commercials. People be like, "Oh man, you see the ad for that new movie?" And I'm like, "I sure didn't." I see ads for movies when I go to movies. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it. YouTube be like, "Hey man, we see you got an ad blocker. It'd be real cool if you took that ad blocker off." And I'm like, reload the page and it'll play the video anyway.
I'm like, no. Oh man. You want me to take the sad info?
Yeah, you could take that one.
I got it. We will go into the cinephile section for a moment, and we got to get some sad news. Man, there's been some childhood, especially with this the last person I'll talk about. There's been like definitely 2 childhood deaths. You think about James Earl Jones. A couple like a week. No, it's not even been a couple weeks ago. It's been like a week and a half at most. Mm-hmm. So fans of the style outlaw country. So someone that grows up in Nashville, Tennessee, folks like Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson. He passed away at the age of 88. But you probably most likely know him from the Blade series, playing a Blade's mentor, Whistler. Somehow came back in the sequel. We don't talk about that. I mean, I liked him back in that movie. It's just kind of like, but things happen, and they just kind of waved it away. So waved away. This last one, actually, I think is kind of sad, but I think it's cool that he at least got one more cameo. We got to play his role one more time before he passed. So John Ashton, he played Sergeant John Taggart in the Beverly Hills Cop movies. He passed away at the age of 76. So if you watched Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, that just came out, it's not just came out in July on Netflix. He got to reprise his role there. So it'd be the most notable thing for him. And then probably respectively the biggest one on this list, Dame Maggie Smith passed away at 89, playing Wendy and Hook, playing Professor McGonagall in the Harry Potter series, and then most recently Violet Crawley in Downton Abbey. So very, very missed, and the memes have been tear-jerking, especially for Maggie Smith. Like, it's just and actually I was laughing because I had posted a video that was circulating of her, I guess 2 weeks ago before this happened. And I'm like going back and looking at it, I was like, no. It's like, no, dang it. Steve, you got any relation with these last performers, or
not aside from what's it called, Maggie Smith? Not really. I wasn't super. Yeah. I was probably too young to watch Blade when it came out, and so when I saw it like way later, I didn't have like the same. I didn't have like the same affinity for it, because it's one of those things where like I'm playing catch up. And then for some of the other stuff, for me, I'm also like not super associated to a whole bunch of actors, but it's like you have to be in like a bunch of things where I've recognized you, or you like already like a real big name, like Will Ferrell or like Will Smith or whatever. Like I'm like, okay, cool, I know who that is. Like, Talladega Nights, Bound, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah. I think I was gonna say, I feel like the Maggie Smith ones, I think, is getting more complicated given the Harry Potter stuff.
But that wasn't on her though.
No, it's not on her. But I think the fandom is definitely probably a little conflicted on how to celebrate that part of her filmography,
her career. Yeah.
Ace Jerry said only been one blade. Are we just gonna forget the FX series that happened? That TV show?
I don't remember that one.
It was literally you had to be there because it was a flash pan. I don't even know if it got 2 seasons. And then they aired it on the Sci-Fi Channel a lot after that.
I do not remember that.
Yeah. What's an FX?
What's an FX?
Shut it. All right. You know what? Fine.
When we take the next one?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead if you want to take the next one.
Yeah, sure. So Apple TV is moving away and it's going to shift its movie release strategy. So after several theatrical financial failures in Napoleon, I think that's Argyle, and Killers of the Flower Moon, Apple is slowing down. Whoa. Their major film productions. Focusing on more streaming releases and the occasional big budget release like the upcoming 2025 F1 movie starring Brad Pitt. I'm not sure which. I feel like all the movies that were listed as major financial failures are also movies that I haven't heard of and was not aware of being released. Which is a person who makes it very hard to be marketed to. I do this to be expected, but like I feel like Apple has like a lot of really I won't say a lot, but like they have a number of really good, very funny TV shows that I think do really well, and I think I don't know because I'm not familiar with any of these other series. I don't know if they're like just standalone movies on their own, but I'm like, just do what Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon do. When you have like a really good series, like you just make a movie about the series. I mean, one thing that's bonkers that people often forget, Jimmy Neutron started with a movie and then had a cartoon that came afterwards. So I'm like, if you already have like, I don't know how Ted Lasso is doing right now, but I mean, like I think 3.5, maybe 4 seasons in.
Season that's going to be just on the football club.
Yeah, I'm like just make a movie on that, and it's like you have plenty of TV shows that are doing really well, like 6 seasons in a movie. It's not a bad strategy. I mean, do 3 seasons in a movie.
In the can for that, so I'm hoping.
Yeah, but like 3 seasons in a movie, 4 seasons in a movie. Like if you're, cut it down a little bit, but like there's nothing wrong with a straight to release movie, or just release it on your network, which makes more sense to do that because like I don't like short of having an Apple television and stealing it off the internet, I don't know how to watch Ted Lasso anywhere. So it's like it makes total sense that like if you wanted to make a Ted Lasso movie, just release it on the network that you already have restricted for. Because it's not like you can market to anybody else. Like, oh hey, go see the Ted Lasso movie in theaters. And everybody who doesn't have an Apple TV says, what the hell is that? It's like gee, I wonder why these movies fail. Nobody knows what this crap is.
I mean, plus a lot of people that watched Ted Lasso got the Apple trial, waited till the season was like ready to watch, and then just there's a lot of
subscribed it.
Yeah.
Yep. Same. That's what I do. Like I grabbed what was it, HBO, because I wanted to watch I can't remember what the name of it is, but there's 3 animated Justice League films. I think 2 of them are out. Right. And like I was Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, cool, because I kept seeing shorts on YouTube, and I'm like, I love the animated DC films because they're all fun and they're all good.
Slap.
Yeah, and I'm just like, cool. Let's take a little hop over here, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'll watch some other shows while I'm here, and then like when I'm done, I'll cancel it, and then when I start seeing shorts for more DC animated stuff, then I'll jump back in.
Yeah, they had committed to doing $1 billion towards their. I know
that's a lot of money.
I know, and like to give you some numbers, like roughly Killers of the Flower Moon and Napoleon were like $100 million each, and they did not make that back.
That's rough.
When they released theatrically.
That's a lot of money. What? Well,
and it's like I get why Netflix did it early on, in the sense of like they were trying to compete with Hollywood studios and they didn't have any respect. So it's like, we're gonna kind of overspend to let folks know we're here. Kind of like wearing a flamboyant suit and kind of busting out. I'm like, yo, I'm here.
Also, it's Amazon. They got money.
But eventually these things are going to end up adjusting. And but I guess the longer conversation we could talk about just another time. Or what's frustrating is there's just a bunch of stuff getting mucked up in the middle of it. Like John Oliver made a joke.
Oh, sorry. No, you were about to explain. Go ahead.
So like John Oliver made a joke on last week tonight, and this has been like a year or two ago. And it's like such a poignant thing he said, but he didn't even dive into it. He just was talking about an Octavia Spencer detective show. It was on Apple TV. And he's like, do you know it's been on for 3 seasons? And I'm like, and as someone that is plugged in and watches a lot of stuff, and I can't review everything, I just don't have the time. But as someone that's plugged in, I'm like, what are you talking about? And I had to go look it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he was 100. It's been on for a while, and they're just blowing this money and just throwing these things. And so again, they did it for these movies to maybe hopefully get some cred with Hollywood, and that's why they did the theatrical releases. But they're doing this all over the board, and like Amazon's done it, and Apple's done it, Netflix did it early, and still does it to a degree. Of course, that's a longer conversation about the two season model. We don't even get a movie. It's like, if it doesn't pop off by season 2,
I mean, like I feel like that's like a more valid statement, but like back in the day, like when a season of something was 20 something episodes, if you can't tell a engaging narrative in 40 episodes that like engages people and wraps them in or whatever, like you ain't gonna do it in 60, you ain't gonna do it in 80 because you just ain't got the chops. But I'm like, now it's like, when you with a bunch of the Star Wars IPs where it's like a season is 6 episodes or 8 episodes, I'm like, come on, yo. I'm like, you can let that stuff simmer a little bit longer. But like, you got tons of people out here, it's like, who quote unquote like don't like filler stories. And like, I'm like, you don't want to know what the world is like. You don't want to know what like, side characters are doing. How stuff works. But I'm going off on a different tangent. I'm going off on
no. But so apologize, folks. Let us stay on this for just a second. We'll get to game time. What I will add with that is there are some series where it's like, if you have a really strong narrative, because there's sometimes when something's bloated and I'm like, please just finish the arc. So like in that sense, it'd be like, because the classic, everyone keeps talking about 6 to 8 episodes, and that actually is not a Netflix thing. That's a very much a Disney Plus thing. So I want to make a distinction. They're the ones that push that hard. Netflix,
Disney is any percent speed run popular show. Like, oh man, Andor, it's like, what a fun and engaging world. I hope you enjoy it for 6 episodes. It's like you're running top speed. It's like going to a museum when there's 1 hour left in the day before they close. You're just like, oh, that's cool. Oh shit, that's pretty sick. Like you're just trying to like run, like you're darting through everything. You're not even taking your time to explore this really cool world that you finally get to go through. Like I can't remember the whole timeline of stuff. I think I think if I remember correctly, I think Mandalorian came out first and then Andor came out first. But I was saying for the longest time, like a year and some change ago, we were like, oh man, I would love to have a Star Wars IP that's not centered on Jedi. And we got that with Mandalorian, and it's like, oh, this is fantastic. And we get that with Andor.
Because I was gonna say Andor at least was 12 episodes, but what they were trying to do still felt like it should have been like a 20 episode, 24 episode thing.
It felt like it.
Yeah, because I would have, to me, like the things that felt really good, even in the small, because they kind of were set over like 3 episode arcs. So like the prison arc, I was like, yeah, maybe over a 24 episode thing that might have been too long. So like 3 episodes, I think that was like a solid amount. But
I
the stuff
agree.
that was
I was
happening
thinking
on
about that
Coruscant,
too.
that would have been nice to have a couple more episodes about what's happening on Coruscant.
To just like let the tension kind of bloom and that sort of stuff. But I feel like now that I'm thinking about it, because when you said the prison arc, I was like, I feel like the prison arc was like incredibly well paced. Because once you get if you let that simmer for too long, you get into all the old boring tropes of like, hey man, I don't like you. And it's like, oh wait, we gotta bribe a guard. Oh wait, we gotta deal with this. Okay, cool. We're gonna cause a distraction. Like, you run into all the same, kind of boring tropes that you do with like not boring tropes, but just like overdone stuff that's there. And so I think like
you may be like scraping the bottom of the barrel to flush it out, when instead it's like, having the license to cut down.
Yeah. So, I think there's positives and negatives. It's probably like doing 6 episodes means that like everything that you do is purposeful. But on the flip side, like you do lose out on a little bit of just like taking a breath to like build the world out a little bit and that kind of thing. So
I think that's what happened with the Acolyte, is that there's definitely a misogyny element too. So I'm like, every time I bring this up, I want to like, I think sometimes people might think I'm pushing that aside. I'm like, no, the only reason is like I don't have any metrics to show how many people didn't watch it or did watch it. Because it was the 3rd highest streaming Star Wars show at that point when it came out. So people were definitely clearly interested when it started, but maybe they're just in the metrics we have, their interest kind of just declined over like episode by episode. But the price tag, the thing that hurts is like you got a short episode thing on that and the price tag, and then they didn't nail it with everybody. So it just makes it hard to renew that. But I think if Acolyte had been, let's say nothing changes story-wise, and it's like, we're going to do a season 2, we're going to get better. But if the price tag is now maybe $50 million, maybe Disney's a little more like, okay, well, maybe we'll renew this one more time. Maybe we'll cut $10 million from it. So you got to like scrap together for season 2 at a $40 million budget. And maybe that gives you enough like energy to make a season 2 that like knocks the pants off everybody. And they're like, okay, now we'll dump money onto it. And you might be like, that's not like, that's literally how it used to work. That is literally how it used to work. Again,
your season 2 is your I bet. That's your I bet time.
Yes, bingo. So
that's your criticize my show, will ya? Well, how do you like this?
Oh yeah, you're like Community season 2. Like, oh god. This is amazing.
How can this be?
All right. Yeah, okay. So I got a streaming rant in here, and I'll get to it at some point. I need to. Me and Tom have got to dive into that. All right.
We got a bunch of quick comments from the chats.
I know they were going ham.
Yeah, Jerry said My Hero Academia is too good to us in these modern times. But real question is 24 episodes, 30 minutes a pop better, or 9-hour-long episodes better? It depends. I mean, like, growing up in the Dragon Ball Z era, I know that a 22-minute episode can sometimes mean nothing.
So I'm gonna say the thing that because I know we have a lot of Trekkies that watch, and I know they will be mad at me. So this would be great. There's a lot of bad Star Trek. I'm sorry. There's just a lot of bad Star Trek, and we didn't need.
Why 24... would you say something so untrue?
Really? The Next Generation season 1, even season 2, which everyone's like, oh, that's one of the best seasons of Star Trek. I'm like, all of it?
No notes.
All of it?
It's every episode is fantastic.
Every Star Trek shitpost group I'm in, the women in it are like, really? Really? All those episodes are solid? That's actually probably if we just incur the name. All right. Actually, that would be my rebuttal. It's like 24 episodes, hour long, like Rick Berman. And the Star Trek fans are like, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Shut up.
A whole sentence in and of itself.
So, all right, that'll be my end cap on that. But yeah, that's a good conversation, and I would love to kind of dive into that more another time. It's like, so I'm kind of in the, yeah, I would like for writers to be able to create the lengths they want and not feel stuck to do one thing. That's all.
But speaking of transitional segues, I believe it is game time.
Game time.
So I'll take the first one. Xbox mobile apps are merging into one. Great pun there. Great pun. Currently, if you want to play Xbox Game Pass titles on your phone, you have to do that in a separate iOS/Android app. Now, Microsoft is publishing a beta to Xbox insiders to test a new combined app that includes the Game Pass option in the default Xbox app.
Synergy.
Yeah, that should be pretty neat. I've personally have never attempted to play Game Pass stuff on my phone.
Yeah,
I'm pretty into a very stupid, almost pretty pay to win mobile game right now, and I feel like I only have space and time for one of those. So
Yeah, I have not tested that. But I'm actually kind of surprised this wasn't already the default. So actually, when I heard news that this was happening, I'm like, oh, that was news. That was news to me. And it is one thing I'll add. It's interesting that, it's noteworthy that it's just the iOS and Android app, because there are some. If you have like a Samsung TV, Google TV, things like that, there are some Xbox Play apps on there that kind of play as like the xCloud option on there to be able to do your Game Pass stuff. So I don't know if that means those are combining. I didn't seem to get that impression from the article. So I'd be kind of curious if that ends up happening. But yeah. All right. I know you'll have thoughts on the other next one. So let me jump into the California one. So do you own your games? But do you really though? But are you sure? California legislature really wants to make sure that's being clear. So said we're going to mention the governor twice. Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law last week a bill that would require more transparency on the games that you're buying, especially from like an online game store, like if there's like Epic or like Ubisoft, EA, anything like that, or kind of the Microsoft or Sony stores. So if it says it's a license, if it says it's a game, but really it's just the license to that game, and it can be delisted, and poof, it's gone. They have to tell you that. So they're no longer allowed to use the word like buy. They have to say like buy a license, or have to add that kind of language next to it. So it's more apparent of what you're actually opting into.
They should make them use the word rent, because that'll shift a lot of people's minds. Like, what you mean? Rent?
You mean I'm paying $70 to rent?
For how long?
Right. It actually feels more like a long-term lease.
Yeah, really.
It's like leasing games. But yeah,
I mean, not unheard of. Like we Blockbuster came and went.
Actually, that's being my nerd moment of the week. So I got a cool Blockbuster story. I'll tell you in a second.
My biggest regret was not stealing Mega Man X 2 and 3 from Blockbuster when I had the opportunity as a child. I did get my hands on them later. Nice. But I should have just never taken them back, because that Blockbuster closed shortly after I took them back. And I was very salty about it.
And the employees probably just bought it or took it home.
You're like, oh, well.
Yep.
Speaking of other big regrets, Nintendo launches a lawsuit against Palworld. What a surprise. Surprising literally everyone.
Troy gift.
Nintendo launched a lawsuit against functionally Pokemon Harvest Moon with guns, also known as Palworld, but using a different mechanism than people would likely expect. If you thought they were suing over copyright infringement, then you'd be wrong. They're actually going patent infringement. Excuse me, claiming that Pocket Pair is infringing on mechanical elements of the Pokemon franchise, which I would imagine is probably like the ability to catch Pokemon, or maybe it's the mechanic that involves animal abuse in video games. Who knows? I don't know.
There can only be one.
Whoa! You can't. It's like Michael Vick Simulator 2010. I don't think so. It's like you can only shoot a fire blast. I don't know where that joke fell apart. I should have stopped the other one. I had it.
I got it. Because I think what the problem is, if they go after copyright infringement, you can get into the weeds, going back and forth on that. Although I think there's just some blatant. So people put the comparison photos online.
Oh yeah,
for a while. So I'm like.
I don't know why you wouldn't go over copyright infringement. Just like these two joins is the same.
Yeah.
It's like, look at this Pokemon and look at this Palcomon. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever they're called.
Now there
them joins is the same.
So some other, and I have to go back and check the IGN article. So what they, and this would be interesting if Nintendo already knows this, and like once this lawsuit goes through, for folks that, let's put the legal hat on for a second. There's a process called discovery. So when you get into engage in a lawsuit, there's certain things you have to turn over, and things that you would have like, hey, we think that you have done this. We need to see these emails or these assets. So I imagine Nintendo has probably already opened up what they have available to them of the game, and there might.
You activated my trap card.
There's a word asset used a lot regarding this lawsuit, which makes me think. Did they actually just grab some Nintendo assets and were like, no one's going to notice this? And then maybe Nintendo has enough
copy your homework.
Maybe they have enough information on how that was built to be like, that's yours, right? Yeah, that's 100% yours, right?
I mean, so one thing I would consider, because it's a indie game where they may have like outsourced some art. It reminds me of a lawsuit. I can't remember what the artist was, but like, a couple decades ago, somebody tried to sue Michael Jackson for copying their like a bass line from their song or whatever that they claimed was like the same. And they were like, one, it wasn't. Like, it was like kind of similar, but like it wasn't. And basically they were like, oh, they assume that Michael just does what a lot of people does. He just hires session musicians. And they were like, maybe they hired the same musician and he played like the same kind of lick or whatever. And, and like this guy, like, oh, maybe like her argument was that like the sauce was the same. And that like they both worked in the same circle, so they probably hired a bunch of the same musicians, and they might have played a lick that sounded the same. And like then he went in this particular case, he went in and showed that like he literally just like layers and scat sings all of his compositions, and then he'll have somebody play it. So he's like, no, like I can show you the tapes from 4 years before this version of the song came out. Like I was doing this, and here's my originals, like from back in the day. So I'm like, maybe with Palworld, I could see in the multiverse, I could see there's that somewhere they hired some artist to be like, hey, I need to come up with 100, Pokemon-esque designs. I need some ideas. And somewhere there's probably somebody who's like, 100 is a lot. I could do 5, and I'm going to just copy the rest from Pokemon. And I could totally see that being something that might have happened somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
So there may be some credence to it. Or maybe they went into the Pokemon code and was like, yo, let me copy your homework.
Yeah. But yeah, you can bet on death, taxes, and Nintendo suing somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just constants in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're going to get into some Check the Tech. which we're gonna get. You know what? Honestly, I don't want to add an AI section, but maybe we should add like an AI trombone, like
AI trombone.
Because I just, gosh, there's so many AI articles I just pass. Like, to be clear, I read them, so I'm not saying I'm not doing my due diligence. I just, they're so frustrating. And for the folks on the Discord, maybe I'll throw this Adam Conover video about AI, which I think is really good. Probably explain why I'm a little like, I don't care. Don't care.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of times that I people describe something as an AI, and I'm like, no, that's a good old fashioned rule based program or a bot. We were like, oh, we have an AI chatbot. And I'm like, no, you don't. You have a bot. That's different.
Bot. It might be a really good bot.
You wish it was an AI chatbot, but that shit is a bot.
Yeah. So to lead off the AI. BlackRock Investment Group and Microsoft joined forces on a new AI partnership, specifically also with the UAE, United Arab Emirates, and their firm MGX, which I'll get to that in a second. Because, yeah. But the idea is they're going to be developing new data centers and improving electrical infrastructure between the two, between this partnership, and really trying to get the UAE in on AI infrastructure, being like possibly becoming a leader in that space. So it's a pretty open, it's not open secret. Like Microsoft, sorry, not Microsoft proper, but OpenAI is just burning through money. Just here's $1 billion. Like, wow. So that would give me a lot of pause before I join up with that's not a knock on, I guess it is a knock on Microsoft. Yeah, I'm knocking Microsoft. For the other two firms, I would maybe like just the AI hysteria and how we're spending money in it, that there's no guarantee that it's just going to result in a general intelligence that's going to get the result that you want. Like, let's talk about Moore's law and microchips for just a second. We at least understood that, hey, the more transistors we can squeeze into a spot, the better that could be for the chip. So at some point, pouring more, I mean, it's not a neat formula, but we know like pouring more money into that makes sense because there's actual yield that will come out of that. We don't have that for AI. So this idea that people just ended, I won't go for all the financials, just the billions of dollars that have already been spent in the last 2 years just on trying to improve AI is mind-bogglingly stupid. Just for you to still push something into Meta's AI or Google's, like, and pick one and still get these dumb answers or non-usability. So that would be my little rant. And on top of it, these two firms, BlackRock, we don't have a smoking gun on them as far as like, oh, they've done something completely terrible. But there's these like rumors and reports that are coming out that are little suspect. And then for the UAE, numerous human rights issues there. So having a firm come out of the UAE to kind of jump into AI makes me a little concerned. So this is not like a slam dunk partnership in my eyes.
Is it is not, or it is?
Not. Or sorry.
Okay.
On paper, it makes sense for them why they would do this. As the outside, this is observer consumer, though, I wouldn't be really excited about this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like. There's some cool stuff that AI is doing, like in a conversational kind of way, but like it's still not there. Like for like I kind of agree, for the investment to have been so big and for it to not be further along than it is. Like on one hand, I understand why, because there's a lot of different large entities putting money into AI, but they're not necessarily working together. And the reason being is because like they're not, like their interests aren't necessarily aligned, and like having some sort of generic super AI is way out of the question. training it is a whole is it takes, you know, as long as it does to teach a person to do something, and like the benefit is that you can create multiple iterations of it that can train all at the same time, and you aggregate them together, which is only really super beneficial really if you have like a very small problem set, like playing chess, for example. Right. But yeah, I understand that. Like for me, and I'm kind of like, there's no like super big cool thing that I think like you can do with AI that you couldn't do with like a conventional means. Like, granted, it would take like a little bit more time, but I'm like, if somebody was like, "Yo, if you could invest, you know, $50 trillion in AI, and then like you can have it like load up an Excel document and then ask it questions and about like the data or like your reporting data, and you can have it just generate reports for you, or you could spend like a couple $1,000,000 and like 3 to 4 months and you could do the same thing. Like to me, the latter makes more sense now. And it does for like a really long time. And like I don't really have like a really cool use case. Like the best thing for gaming that I've seen is like some mods where people will tie in like conversational AI to basically have conversations with the player or on off the fly, like on the fly about the world that it lives in. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But I'm like, is that like, you know, a multi-billion-dollar investment idea? Like probably not.
No.
And I'm like, and I really, and for at least me personally, as a, you know, computer science person who at least kind of keeps an ear to the ground for new kind of stuff, I still haven't come up with like a really cool or heard of a really cool idea for AI that I think is going to be game changing. In the same way, you know, not to posit transitional segues between topics, but in the same way that like that VR headsets and AR glasses and other kinds of ideas, like I've only seen stuff that's neat. Like I haven't seen anything that like this is the future. Like now it has reached that area where this idea, like if and when they can get it to work, is going to change everything. Like I haven't gotten that yet, because it is still more convenient to just type a query into Google than it is to try to get an AI to understand what the fuck I'm trying to say.
So when the Rabbit AI, and I forget what the other one, the pen that was, came out, Marcus Brownlee did a great video, a kind of reviews on it, and he said something to the effect of, or I guess there was two thoughts. I'll paraphrase. One, this hasn't replaced the phone, and is not so revolutionary, or is not revolutionary enough to replace the phone. So that's what people are just going to default back to. And then two, it's like you still want to see things.
Yep.
So like if you think about, people are like, well, maybe if we get like someone that can talk to us like Jarvis. Yeah, but the thing about Jarvis, as much as like Tony could talk to him, Jarvis could show him things. Like,
yep, heads up display.
Heads up display, or like, hey, you rotate the, you know, the scenes we see him building the suit. It's interactive in that space, and all those things are working together. But if you pull any one element of it by itself, it's like, yeah, neat, but
it's like it's like getting a cake, but like it's just icing. And or it's like getting a cake, but like, oh wait, I forgot the flour and the milk, so it's just eggs.
Oof. I like the icing version better.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, oh god, yeah. Meta's Connect this past or last week, they have also had an AI showcase along with that. They're pushing the AR glasses, and I will admit, going back on that neat scale, what I saw of that was cool. It's cool, but it just, again, it's not. I don't really think it's knocking socks off.
My socks are still firmly on my feet.
Still firmly on the feet. And it just makes me. I mean, I'm not saying you got to give me holograms, but if you're talking about like the actual use case that I think would make people like, oh, I want to interact with that, because holy crap, there's something moved. There's a person. My nan is in my room, even though she's like 300 miles away, and it's not because I don't have to wear glasses to do it. She's in the room. It's like because of a projection. Like, that would be,
like some little Star Wars little hologram guy or something.
Yeah, you get some stuff like that. So yeah, what we're talking about, we have talked about the MetaConnect. Something else I want to pull out from this piece is that, and MSNBC was talking about Snapchat, but in particular, a lot of the TikTok is facing this to a degree also of just advertising issues. So this might be a topic for another time we can dive into longer, but there's a lot of issues of like, how do you slip an ad in to these smaller clipped videos, and especially for Snapchat, so many vanishing messages and like these kind of isolated conversational spaces. They've been burning. Hey, speaking of another company that's just burning through money, Snapchat.
I don't know anything about Snapchat, honestly.
I'm not on it.
There's a lot of there's too many tech companies that like I felt like was a stupid idea when it came out that just got really popular just because like, hey, it's different and like that's the crux. Like, full disclosure, I felt like Twitter was a dumb idea when it came out. I was like, that's just Facebook statuses with a word count. Like, that's the same thing that we already have.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then Snapchat comes out, and I'm like, that's just any messaging service, but just with expiring messages that don't really expire because screenshots exist. Like,
yeah.
But whatever.
I mean, Twitter made sense in a low-res sense back in the day.
I mean... No, not to me. I was like, this is dumb.
I mean, there's a lot of So, okay. The quick thing I'll say is like reporting on things that are happening live in situations when you got a lot of people and the bandwidth is just dropping down. Twitter was actually like really good for that. That's what its utility was early. You think about the Black Lives Matter protests and things that happened. And it was like a key organizing space for that for a long time. But yes, I still like. Fundamentally, I still agree with you. It's just, but
yeah,
but
like that came about way later, though.
Yes, it's not like someone's like, I wonder what's like. No, it just that happened to be a benefit. Yeah. Yeah, I actually think I can wrap these two.
Hit it.
Together. Yeah.
Blah blah.
So the Department of Justice has been pretty busy. You might remember 2 weeks ago, we were talking about some lawsuits coming down on Google's search algorithm. Yes. It's funny. Jim and I just opened and tried to. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Anyway. So not to bore anyone with what a compliance officer is inside an executive board. But literally, they are the ones like when you think about legal compliance, that could be your legal team inside of an organization. As you get bigger, you might have a compliance officer that literally is just a position of like, I'm going to make sure we're hitting our P's and Q's. So what the Department of Justice is proposing is that as AI is getting more and more proliferated and more companies are trying it out, that this be a requirement of the compliance officer or the legal team of making sure that whatever standards get set by the Congress or by the Department of Justice get followed by the compliance officer. So this is more concrete than saying like, oh, the scary risks of AI, and kind of be like, no, if it's doing this, this, and this, we want your compliance officer to make sure that doesn't happen and to report to us, or we might bring you up to the hill to have a conversation about it if we find this, this, and this is happening, right? So they still got to flesh out this more specific bullet points and requirements for what that would look like. And I expect that to be kind of slow, given how tech illiterate our elected officials are. But I am. This step is really good.
Yeah, I mean, they need some way to be able to interpret the technological changes that companies are doing. I don't trust a company to police itself. Full stop.
They're not going to.
Yeah, so I'd have to read up more about it, about the specifics and the nitty gritty, but implicitly that's where my gut lies, because why would I trust a private company to have my best interest at heart outside of some parts of what the government mandates, and then everything else is just a fee. And for me, I'm kind of like the a not a fee. What's the word? I'm missing the right word, but like the fine that you pay for
Okay,
your company
penalty.
doing something wrong should be percentage based on the revenue of the company, rather than a band
Set,
within some
like
range,
set
because
fees and stuff. Because
of
it's
like, this is, if you do this horrible thing, you lose 12% of your revenue for the past X years of your company. Because like, oh cool, like for a small company, I'm like, 12%, like that's still really bad. Like that could be $10,000. Like, oh man, that's such a big deal. But if,
right.
like for a company like a $10,000 fee means nothing to Google. $100,000 fee means nothing to Google. That's just getting a ticket. It's like, a speeding ticket is just a fee that you pay to go fast if you have enough money.
Literally the cost of doing business.
Yeah. And so it's like, it has to be more than a slap on the wrist. It needs to be a punch to the solar plexus that like takes the wind out of your lungs. It makes you like, maybe I should reconsider. But
I feel like EU fines have been getting better about that, because they do a lot less set fees and they do a lot more percentages. So some of the ones we've seen come out of there, like starting to get up to like the 100 million mark and things like that. I'm like, all right, keep
it going.
And like, if we could catch up, they would kind of get them on both ends.
Once the US sees, the UK getting mad money from people doing their stupid stuff, they'll be like, well, hold up. You mean we could be doing that?
Yeah. What up, Doug? Good to see you.
Hey, what up? Good to see you, man.
Yeah. So but I think this is going to lead nicely into the next one. And this is one I apologize for not getting the statement in there. So our second Gavin Newsom reference is that he's signing a bill, he's already signed a bill into law to fight political deepfakes. You may have.
That's probably a very good idea.
Very good idea. Because Elon Musk reposted a video since just taking it down. But it kind of kicked up a little of the hornet's nest of, wow, you should not have shared that. But also why was this being allowed to be proliferated on the site to begin with? So part of this is not going to be able to actually stop a individual person from making a deep fake. Like, that's not what and they don't. At least I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the smart part. Like, y'all realize, thank you. All right. But as far as who's hosting this, like, once it's been flagged and they realize that it's getting on the tech companies to pull that content down. So if it shows up here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, pick your platform of choice for like a video deep fake. Sorry. Getting the companies to take it down. Now, some of the specifics on like how you determine what's a deep fake, which I feel like should be fairly obvious, but I think that might be the legal fight that comes out of this being signed, and where you get a pushback from the tech companies on. Again, I feel like it should be fairly easy, but the actual legal definition for what a deep fake is might actually get sticky.
Yeah,
I have to go back and look and see if there's already been any kind of rulings on that. I highly doubt it. Then again, I didn't have time to look and dive for that before we started the show. But that's going to be kind of the key issue here. It's like, what's that criteria? And like, if you're going to hold someone accountable for that in a court of law, like, what are the markers that proved? Again, we might be able to very obviously be like, that person did not say that. This has been doctored, right? But there's a difference in what we can, as a person, be like, that's clearly fake, versus, all right, but what is a legal mechanism that says that it is fake? And then I can be
wait a minute.
What's up?
You mean to tell me that Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden aren't playing on a Minecraft server together? That's wild.
Oh gosh. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, definitely the legal definition. I feel like it's gonna go back to what's his name with the definition of pornography. It's like difficult to define, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah. And that might work for a while.
Yeah.
But as we get into more advanced stuff, yeah. Yeah, these AI stories are going to frustrate me, aren't they? I'm just gonna...
Probably.
Oh gosh, I see so many now. I'm seeing so many deepfake trailers happen, and
I've seen a couple too, and I'm like, and people will be like, "Oh, it's a trailer for whatever," and I'm like, "Nah, this is all film edits from old movies. This is fake. Nah, nice try. You had me in the first 3 seconds, but then when I realized that, I'm like, oh, this is all from clips of stuff that I've seen before from the exact same angles and the exact same fidelity. Nah, nice try."
Because usually the first tell is like it's not coming from an official account, so it's like it's not coming from Warner Brothers or something like that. Or it's like,
you mean Bob's Family Movies has advanced video footage of, like, Iron Man 4. Wild.
But I hate to say, speaking of porn, there's ones I haven't clicked on, but the thumbnails are wild.
That was,
and I'm like, there'd be an actress I see in there, and I'm like, whoa, what? So I'm like, I don't click on it because I'm like, I already know what that's gonna be.
I like to believe that, like, the thumbnails, like them, like like piloting a Gundam, and you're like, what is going on?
I wish that would be cooler. I might click on that, but it's usually something like a very compromising position, and you're like, oh, you're like, oh god, that's not real. So yeah, just God, because it was before it was people going for clicks and just making, to your point, just throwing their own, like making their own trailer out of available clips. Now it's just run rampant with just imaginative things being added into it too, where it's that's where I'm getting a little.
It's a little bit of trying to see if we could rather than asking if we should, perhaps.
Yep. I was gonna say the other telltale sign though is that the scenes don't go much further than like 3 seconds at most. So they're like, here's a character, here's a character, here's a character, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene. And it's like, you know what? Hollywood trailer editing is pretty bad, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
I thought I told you I'd never work for you again. It's like Johnny, get down! Ah! Ah! Talk.
Clip that for the show.
It's like when what was it? Jean-Claude Van Damme filmed a whole bunch of green screen clips so that fans could make their own movies with him. It's all stuff like that.
So good, so good.
Oh man!
I was like, that's great. The others, Jan Michael Vincent. Oh man, cool. Yeah, folks, I'm gonna post. So that we didn't have a main topic, but I guess our main topic ended up being AI and streaming limbs. But I want to. I guess my nerd moment of the week. If you have a throwback, I'll give you in a second. I'll post this in the Discord and in the chat. A guy started a. You know how you have the bookcases outside of people's houses? You got the little box. You can like donate a book.
Oh yeah. The Bookshare or whatever.
Yeah, the Bookshare.
Yeah.
Someone started one for Blockbusters. So he took like an old newspaper box, sort of the same concept of the books, made one that looked like a Blockbuster themed, like yellow and blue. Kind of put that, and it's called the Free Blockbuster Box. And apparently, a lot of people have gotten into it, and it put these like, so it can be DVDs and VHSs that you put in there, and just kind of put it like borrow one or like take one, bring one, stuff like that, kind of trading back and forth inside the boxes. Even got permission from the current property owner, Roku. Oh, sorry. Let me get that right.
You mean Goku? No, I'm kidding.
Goku, no. Wait, I got the Let me get the right link.
He's pushing the wrong buttons, chat. He's pushing the wrong buttons.
My bad.
Skill issue.
It's always a skill issue. Oh, that's why that's why I thought Dish Network for some reason owns the brand to Blockbuster. Why, I don't know. If I had to guess, there's probably some content rights in there.
Anyway. Probably they were just like, I want to be able to wear the shirts.
Smart. So they didn't give him a cease and desist. They're just like, hey, if you just change the logo a little bit, we're fine if you keep using the colors and the name in it. So just to make it a little more distinct. So thought that was really cool. It's kind of a nice opportunity. And you can check, I'll drop the link in there so you can read more on the story. And then he also has some design ideas. Like obviously you can make your box however you want, but he gives some design ideas on how to make it and how to brand it on your little box. So yeah, if you got some old VHSs sitting around and they don't have, no one's like really getting to watch them, or DVDs or so on and so forth, it could be a nice way to share it out with your neighborhood.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one of the other things we were going to talk about was the PS5 Pro. And
Thank you.
What is it? eBay. Yeah, there we go.
Oh man.
Do you want to hit it? Go for it.
Yeah, I can hit it. As someone that's frustrated by scalpers, because so many times I just want to play especially as someone that collects games too. Like I just want to play the game. I just want to play the game. I don't want to spend an addition. This thing's already $700, $800. I'm not going to spend an additional $500 on this thing. Like that's insane. And then specifically, the other thing that got hiked up really high was the PS5 Pro Classic or 30th Anniversary Edition. It's got decked out in the gray original PlayStation style. So that's the one that when those pre-orders went out, they're already eBay said, not so fast.
Stop right there, criminal scum.
They have been delisting a lot of those opportunities or like postings on eBay. So if you put on well past the MSRP, again, now this might still mean that if you do an auction style, right? If you just like, hey, I'm going to put it out in auction, maybe you'll get that because of people demand. So eBay's saying like that's fine if people just keep paying over. That's different. But you setting the price well over, no. And they've just been knocking them down one by one by one. And then the PS5.
We don't do that, yeah.
But the PS5 Reddit and a lot of the game collecting Reddits have been like,
praise the sun.
It feels so good. Yeah. So a small win for the collecting community, or a nice punch back against scalpers for once.
Finish him.
Whether they'll keep it up, that's another. Yeah.
But they're putting the work in. They're slapping them down.
It's
like the people dared ask $1,100 for a PS5 Pro, and eBay looked down at them and they said no.
Precisely. Cool.
Alrighty.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, folks, for watching here down at State of the Nerd Union. What shows we got coming up soon, Kenny?
We got some reviews coming out for The Wild Robot. And me and my friend Daniel, one of my old critic friends in Nashville, we're going to talk about Megalopolis. Because, gosh, it was a movie. It was a movie that happened. Yeah. Well, yeah. And then I guess we'll be back in 2 weeks due to live stream. So we'll be back here probably Monday night, but we'll see.
Alrighty, sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Maybe
Thanks,
we get
folks.
Gary to join in, get the 3 screen going.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. See y'all later.
Peace.
And then he has to like get hit the button. There we go.